Oh, it's Susan. I thought Susan was coming back. We'll wait.
She is.
There she is. We're just signing in. We'll reconvene our workshop and we'll start off with Samantha Mendes, our Community Development Department. Samantha.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'll just hop right into it. My first goal is one that I started last January, and that is to rewrite our Chapter 54, Articles 1, 2, and 3 that go over land use. So I do have the budget allocated. Thank you all very much for that. In the fall, that was added to my budget. And since then, we've made progress to put out an RFP, and we just scored them on Monday. We had a committee composed of Eric Boyda, Adam Sanchez, and myself, and we were able to come to a consensus, and we'll be presenting that to you all in February. So.
How many vendors responded?
We had 2, Consensus Planning and Site Southwest. And so we have a recommendation to bring to you all.
Okay.
Based on that. So we're moving right along. Within the scope of work, we asked them to be completed within a year. So
great.
Hopefully we'll get some good input from the community and staff and the governing body and get that put in place soon. My second goal is once again one I started last January, and we've made a lot of progress in this, and that's preventing property from extended periods of vacancy and neglect. It started off with you all adopting the blight and vacant building ordinance, and we were able to use that as a tool to gain compliance. We didn't have to do any clean-in liens because everybody was willing to work with us, so that was a huge positive, and I think people saw that we were serious and we're ready to take action. Another step to meet that goal is our Metropolitan Redevelopment Area Plan. That is in the works. We have a final draft that'll be presented to the Planning Commission on Tuesday, February 2nd, next week. And then pending any changes or public comments, we'll bring that for adoption in March to the governing body.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sam, what about houses that have been burnt? Are we still having trouble from COVID, trying to get those places cleaned up?
We're no longer giving that excuse to people that they can't travel here due to COVID. We're actually pursuing those. Do you have one in mind?
Yeah, and I can't, what's the road up by me? It's been there for 2 to 2.5 years.
University or?
Pardon me?
Is it on University or?
No, it's on the over.
College?
Convor?
It's somewhere.
I know where you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that house was a double wide, and it's been burned for over 2.5 years, and it is just fallen everywhere. I can't believe that none of the property owners around there
Have complained
haven't
or
said down.
anything?
Because with high winds, it blows over to my house, over the hill.
Wow.
So,
Del Norte?
yep, thank you.
Well,
I'll
they
follow
haven't
up with
finished
code
up with
enforcement
the
because
one
we're
in
not.
Paradise yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Do what?
They haven't finished up with the one that we did in Paradise
Charles Gray.
Canyon.
Yeah, Charles Gray.
Oh, the red
And
structure.
the other one sold, so that,
The one on Paradise, he came and he cleaned up. The vehicles are still there. The roof needed to be secured better. The 2 children of the owner that are left in charge of it have a really strange medical condition. And Bobby Simpson witnessed it, actually, where they fall asleep, like on the spot. They'll just be standing there talking and they just fall over. And he ended up catching the man. So we're working with them still. But he had a few more items, like those junk vehicles that are out there and that
You got the cars
bread
off
truck.
one side, but then not the other.
Yeah, they have a lot of vehicles. But
Thanks.
we were able to get compliance behind Club Gas. I can't think of the address. Danny Garcia, and to finish that roof. So that was a good progress because we had been pushing our blighted ordinance on him and kind of encouraging him to finish up. So that was good. But we'll continue following up with that one in Paradise, and then this burned home near Del Norte. My next goal is we're addressing. So last year we were able to rewrite the ordinance in its entirety and get that adopted. And right now we're in the steps of identifying where we would like to start. And we have made contact with all of the utility companies, Zia Gas, P&M, the post offices, the surrounding entities, the county, and just let them know that we're going to be changing addresses moving forward and how would they like to receive the information. So we got that process lined out. We have an addressing committee that's composed of Public Works, Public Safety members, Katie Simpson with the dispatch, and Lori Carpenter, and myself. And so we actually have a meeting this Friday to talk about our strategy and how we want to roll this out and the amount of addresses we want to readdress at a time, because we need to, bite off something that is attainable and not just do a large tract and not be able to get out there and readdress. The fire department has stepped up, and they'll be making the signs and installing the signs and doing the one call to make sure we're not hitting any gas or utilities underground. So that's been set up. They also have the vinyl cutting machine to make the placards, the address placards. The next step would be to, once we know how many we're going to readdress, is order the placards and the delineator post to put them on.
So what type of post and the placards are they?
It's going to be a metal placard. Have you seen the ones in the county
Right,
with the white reflective lettering?
Yep.
They're going to look pretty much identical.
identical to that. Mm-hmm. I would suggest do a really good campaign that's what's going to be coming up on the roads, because I've had a few comments that if I get one of those like the county, I'm going to run it over and get it out. It just interferes with their landscaping. That was just the one comment that I got.
I can see that.
I tried to explain to him, I said, but it's safety reason, it's emergency response, and we need to know your address, and your house is sitting back 200 feet, and you could barely see that 4-inch letter or number
That's
on
not
the
reflective.
post, and it's faded
village-
out.
It's village property. don't
And that,
destroy
yeah,
it.
that's, I say that, but again, it's, well, I'll just pull it out, and
I know a lot of
Anyway,
people
but-
are, really driven to their wooden carved signs on their bear, and it's
Yeah.
like, what are you going to do if there's a fire and that burns, and now we don't no longer know your address? And
But I would just do a public campaign that we're working on this to, enhance or improve our emergency response and help your Amazon boxes find the right house and stuff
Yeah.
like that to address our visual, because I do like that, we can see those signs.
we're going to have to definitely take it, section by section and do public outreach for each section that we've identified
Right.
prior to the readdressing. We want to make sure we get it right the first time, so we'll definitely be doing a lot of outreach.
Great, thank you.
It's not like we can paint it on the curb or something.
Right,
I know.
yeah.
like other But I'm glad when I was first on P&Z 11 years ago, this was a big deal, to get this done, so
It definitely is.
finally.
it's
It's good
so
though, it
crazy.
needs.
Oh, and Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, also, I think it's important to recognize the fact that this is also for emergency vehicles, not just fire and police, but ambulance. So if you have and sometimes that catches their attention more than thinking they might be broke into or burned down. But it does bring it to the forefront that, well, that does make more sense.
And then that's the way we're going to go about this, is definitely public safety. That's the number one reason for going for the reflective and uniform position, so that our emergency responders will be able to see that as they're searching. And another thing that we're going to work on is phonetically, a lot of our road name signs are the same. For instance, I live off Cliff Court that comes off of Cliff Drive. So that's a little confusing for a new EMT in town. And they'll just keep on going.
And you know, Counselor Jackson, you brought up a good point with the ambulance and stuff. Have we reached out to EMS to see if they might send a representative to this committee?
That would be good. I'll reach out to Sandy. I'm sure she'd be glad.
I mean, just so that we could get their input as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have Joe and Cody from fire, but Sandy would be an asset to have on this committee.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I forgot about ambulances, so that's a great point, Dr. Jackson.
They often arrive together, both fire and EMS, so.
Right.
I think we're going to have to do some outreach, get people sold on it, because you're going to be changing some addresses,
That's true.
probably mine.
I know, I'm going to be on there. I'm just like so sad about
You're going to
it.
get a phone call.
I know.
There's a reason, and the reason mine is the numbers are backwards. But they need to make sense, and everybody needs to find them, but I think you're going to have to do some advertising.
And it's a mess all throughout town. I mean, just the street that I live on, we're all evens, both sides of the street. That's not working out. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a huge challenge that we're going to need a lot of help from PR and just making sure these town hall meetings, that people are able to understand what our end goal is and get it right this time, because when I worked at the county 2 doors down from Village Hall, we had 3 different addresses in the 7 years I was there, so we can't have things like that.
Right.
So, but so that's a huge goal that we're going to make some progress on this year, now that we have our machine to make the signs and the ordinance in place. My next goal is affordable housing. I have all the hard goals. So we're gonna find somebody's backyard to put it in.
You do.
But no, we're gonna keep on pressing forward, hoping this MRA can bring us some more leveraging, maybe some more parcels. Also look at not just affordable housing, but workforce housing. Different ideas have come up about working with contractors and our land bank, and just trying to get something going, because I see the struggle just in my own department. I have 3 individuals, 2 living out of a camper, and 1 that his rental home that he was renting sold, and now it has nowhere to live.
Wow.
So it's a real problem.
Some of that, if you fix some of our C2 zoning, will help.
I do. So hopefully during this land use, we can incorporate more live work and just to accommodate some things of that nature. Maybe not totally in all the commercial areas, but where it's appropriate.
I talked to some people the other day that were buying some C2, and they wanted to put in like duplex or something below. I said, well, right now you got to put a 4-plex in.
Yep.
That's a problem with that C2.
So this is definitely, we made a lot of progress, and I felt pretty confident. And then, as you all know, we got a lot of kickback at Cree Manor. They didn't want it there either, so that was a challenge.
Probably everywhere.
Yeah, I really thought Cree Manor was going to be a great project site. I
We all
couldn't
did.
understand that, but I don't know.
It was an improvement.
Definitely. That place needed some TLC, and
Well, I also think that we may need to change direction a little bit. Any place we put one of those big projects, we're going to make all the neighbors mad.
Yeah.
And if we could encourage some, and it may take some rezoning, but some duplexes or fourplexes or some smaller rental units, we may have better, I mean, it takes longer to get 70 units that way, but anything helps right now.
That is a viable option.
Yeah, a good look at our zoning map, I think, would be beneficial, because a lot of outcry I hear from people on Rio is they want it to be residential, and Carrizo Canyon is so mixed, and I don't know.
Well, and something, I think it was from you in this somewhere, said maybe allow duplex in manufactured housing areas, which might
Right.
work.
Something, we need to be a little bit more creative, because we only have so much land, and that may be another approach to think regionally with the county and the downs, and just see if we can bring more homes. But, so I'll continue working on this year. Okay, so the next one is our CityWorks software. I started this goal last year. We were able to get it all formatted, and it seems to be working. Last week we had training. Towards the end of the development of it, it was identified that we should bring in the streets department and the clerk's department. So we'll be issuing the liquor licenses out of CityWorks, not necessarily my department, but the village. And also, for the street department, we've added in the street cut permits, in the driveway permits for Josh. So the worker will start with us, and then ask him to go do the inspection, and then we can issue the permit from City Hall. And that's in line with the redesign of City Hall, having our customer service area up front. And so building permits and, what else do we do? Business licenses and everything that comes out of community development, solicitation permits, planning and zoning, it'll all be, once my staff gets the hang of the software, then we'll roll it out to the community, and they'll be able to go in there and enter their permits online. Right now, we have them, scan or take a picture of their building permit, and then we process it that way, and they come through and pay. So this will be automated and much more professional.
So when I mentioned earlier, when Ron was doing all permitting, that's what you're talking about, doing not only just the construction permits, but banner permit, garage sale permit, special events, or no, Ron does special events, right? Or
Rodney?
So that's a good point. Will Parks and Rec start using city work for your permitting, or?
So we haven't been approached with that, but I mean, it's something that we're open to. We're using it for just building maintenance work orders.
Turn on that mic, Rod. Sorry, I just saw.
It's not on.
So we're just using it at this point for work orders and kind of like some asset management. So we're scheduling maintenance items that are required each year, and then it'll send a notification to staff, like for playground audits and irrigation audits and those type of things. But we've not been trained in the document part, but I think we would be open to that.
Yeah, that is something we could build in.
And that's what I thought, if we just have one permitting software that whether I'm getting a garage sale permit or buying my boat permit, I know it's all on CityWorks, but I mean, it works too on the link, because I go to the website for Parks and Rec, and that's how I got my last boat permit and parking permit.
And I apologize, Mayor Pro Tem, and that particular software is different. That one is Civic Rec. It's more of a recreation-based software.
Okay.
And so we do have the option to utilize that one for those permits as well. But, I mean, I think probably for that particular one, maybe CityWorks would be a better option. to keep those type of permits uniform.
Yeah, that type of permit would work great because basically it's just all the department heads saying that there isn't going to be an impact, or if there is an impact, this is what they need to do. So I think that would be good to incorporate.
Well, look into it, Rod. I mean, whatever works best for the department. I mean, I'll go with that there. I was just trying to collaborate it all
Right.
to one software.
Yeah, because right now we do it manually through a PDF. Everybody logs into the shared drive and puts their check, and
Right.
so this would be much better. Yeah. Thank you. And my last goal is Buxton, but I think we've kind of beat that one pretty well today. But do y'all have any questions for me?
Oh, I brought it up with water, rewriting chapter 86 on utilities.
Oh, I did hear you bring that up.
And, I mean, we could wait a year on it because we're going to be in drought all this summer anyway. And so, but mainly was the water conservation phase. I think it was section 32. Because all the triggers that they list right there, were, I think now Grindstone is qualified because we're below 16 foot on the spillway. So that would move it to whatever trigger that one's in. But as far as like the pumping of the wells, the water height on the fire hydrant at Alto Lake, there ain't even a fire hydrant out there anymore that they measured from. So I mean, it's just that kind of cleanup.
Yeah.
And then too, as John mentioned before, you know, maybe this is to tie in rates analysis as well, you know, for production to what we're doing there. And yeah, we need to lower the consumption, or whether we just go straight off base zero, you know, have a small maintenance beginning fee, and then from there up to 1,000 gallons, you're paying this X amount, you know. So,
And that way people could save money if they conserve.
Yeah.
Right now, they don't.
yeah, there's no incentive to say, or like you said, the gentleman there that said, I'll fill up my tank, or I'm gonna run the water on my yard till I get close
Well,
to
the good part of
3,000
that
gallons.
story is I hooked him up to his gutters so he doesn't have room to fill it up usually.
Ah,
That was his logic on buying,
right,
so.
but still, I mean.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, sir.
So I didn't push it yesterday because you guys were done at 5. I could tell nobody wanted to hear you talk anymore. But Roger Peary and I have been working. If you remember the visualization tool that we created for the North Fork special use permit with the Forest Service, I put in additional funds into that to make a comprehensive model for the Ruidoso area. And so what Roger and I are going to do is this spring, we're going to run this model based on the current snowpack. And what that will do is run some projections of groundwater levels. And so what Roger and I are working on developing a kind of a multi-tiered analysis that would set us into possibly to simplify the conservation into 3 levels based on snowpack, and then the existing groundwater conditions, and then looking at our water production capabilities. So we are actively working on that. It's kind of a complex process, but I think when we run this trial model run in the spring, I might have him come and present to the council, and maybe we can have kind of an open discussion about how to proceed with developing kind of this new water conservation standard, because it does need to be simplified. It's, I've been really championing leaving it at the most restrictive just because we have so many water rights that are being leased right now. I would have probably proposed us changing it to test the water with people starting to irrigate if it wasn't a drought right now. So maybe I can engage you a little bit after this meeting and kind of show you some of the stuff that Roger and I are working on.
Well, that's great news, Eric, because now see, that makes more sense. And I know when they developed this, it all right intentions were to keep in handle of the usage of the water in the village. However, like I said, a lot of those triggers don't even exist, but it makes a lot more sense of water table on the Eagle Creek wells. Of course, consumption I'll even go with levels on the lake, just like at Grindstone saying 16 foot or at there, but at least they see where we're getting low on water and the amount of water we have produced in the tanks. Because in the asset, what we just approved Monday,
Asset
management, the asset, there's some really good goals in there as far as keeping 2 days worth of water in our system in case of an emergency. The worst scenario I saw was when we did have the freeze and when, it thawed out and man, we lost, I don't know, millions of gallons. I know Alto was just down to like 19 feet in one tank. It was severe. So Eric, I appreciate that. And yeah, I'll look forward to that demonstration or that presentation, I should say, of looking at that model.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Okay, that's all I have. I thought we were keeping our goals to 5, so I have several others. We'll continue working on the implementation of our CDBG grant, and
Great.
that's going to be huge for that area and the community. So,
Great job, Sam.
yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all's time.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Rod, you're up.
Is Anthony, are we going
What's that?
to, Anthony Mendes?
I think he's going to do everybody.
He's doing all of them.
No, I would prefer that.
They talk.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Thanks, hon. Rod, do you have a meeting at 5? Okay.
Anthony?
Is Anthony here? Or
I think, oh.
There he is.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Anthony. Floor is
Good afternoon.
yours.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem Salas, members of the council, Manager Dodge. First of all, I wanted to let you all know that can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, new computer, so I don't know. The community center, as you know, has been closed for the last, 9 months or so, 10 months, more than that, since March. And as you all probably knew, that the center had a lot of activity there in the end from back in 2013 up into the point where we shut down because of COVID. The center had been booming so much with so much activity that it was even hard to keep up with in schedule because there was so much going on there. So we were blessed to actually have that. When COVID hit, it just took everything apart. So it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen once we're able to open again. I got a lot of programs I want to come back and stuff. So hopefully we can get it back going. And I know we will. We did it before. So coming from hardly anything going on there to as much as it was, I'm sure we'll get it right back going to where it needs to be, and even more, hopefully. That's a goal of the center always. But I can start out with my number one goal here. We were labeled as a Red Cross place that shelter, so that way we were one of the disaster shelters in case anything happened. And we got with Mr. Kasobaski to start training for all of that. And we started all the training, and I started teaching my employees on the fundamentals of it, because, to be able to do that, you needed to know it all, the plan on opening the shelter, which is registration, dormitory, feeding areas, and information areas, and all of that. So me taking the classes that he was offering there, kind of got us involved in that. But then, like I said, when COVID hit, we shut down. So there was no more meetings to actually go further with it. So that's still ongoing with us. So I have that on, and I had my employees reading on the fundamentals books that he had given us to try to brief them on certain things that needed to be taken care of if we did open as a shelter. So I will continue to keep doing that training with them, and once we are able to have meetings again, maybe we can keep that going to see what we can do to be a shelter if you know, if something ever happened in our area. So that was my goal number one. Just continue the training. We have another staff member coming on board, and so she's going to have to be briefed on a lot of stuff that we've already learned. So I will get with her whenever she does come on board. So that's where we are with that. That's just going to be an ongoing training, of course, because if it's an ongoing shelter, we're going to constantly have changes and whatnot. So if anybody had questions on that one, I'm open to that.
No questions.
We're good? Okay. Moving right along.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I may.
Hold on.
Anthony, is there showers in that facility?
Manager Dodge, there is not showers in the facility. I know that we were going to be one of the facilities that was not open immediately, but as an extra. So I don't know where we were at with that, but no, there is not showers in our facility.
You know, and I was just thinking that, you know, if we're going to be utilizing that for a shelter, you know, we could probably partner up with the tools to provide that community type shower facility. So, you know, I hadn't thought about it before, but, you know, it is there in close proximity. So I just wanted to put that out there that we might be able to partner with the tool the pool, and that would serve as a good shelter area.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. Makes sense.
Yep, it does.
Absolutely, it would be needed for sure, being a shelter there, and we are close in close proximity. So, yeah, I agree to that one. Okay, was there any more questions?
No.
Okay, goal number 2, my building improvements. As you had seen in the last year, there had been a lot of improvements to the building. We had done the tile in the kitchen and dining room that was in dire need of repair, and we replaced all of that back in November of 2019, and the place just looks nice, modern, and really nice. We got a lot of compliments on that as soon as it was done. February 20th, we actually got the swamp cooling system that we had replaced with an HVAC system. When we did all of that work, we ended up replacing all of the furnaces, all of the water heaters, put in the HVAC system, and the system works nice. It's not as noisy as it was with the swamp coolers above your head. The place keeps the temperature as good as you need it. So the system came out really good. Bonito River Services did us a really good job on that service.
Say, Anthony, remind me, how many units was that?
We actually had to put in 5 units.
5 units, okay.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 5 units is what we ended up having to do.
I'm sure Duplicate Bridge is very happy about that.
They will be when they haven't seen it. They haven't felt it.
Oh, that's right.
We've been closed. So once they come back, oh yeah, because it was horrible trying to talk over the noise of those swamp coolers. And then it would get so much moisture in there. The humidity was bad.
Right.
So even the exercise classes, they're going to love it. So that was replaced. And then in July of 2020, we had the roof entirely renovated and replaced. That's when they actually took the swamp coolers off the top of the rooftop and replaced the entire rooftop. They did such a good job that the water just runs right off of the top of the roof. It doesn't settle up there anymore. They actually came back, which was Roof Care is the ones that did it, and they came back and to check to make sure everything was okay. And if they seen any puddling up of water, they tore the roof entirely apart and redid the entire area so that way the water would drain off the roof. Because it is a flat roof, so that was beneficial the way they actually did the construction up there.
Great.
So that was replaced, and then all of them projects were back in the last comprehensive plans, so they've been totally renovated. So that was good. I actually went to the council to get some funds to do the exterior renovation, the stucco, the wood trim, and the paint. And it was approved. So I actually did that project in October of 2020. So the entire exterior of that building is nice. The color's different. All the cracks are fixed. The trim, the paint, it's just, it looks a lot more modern. It looks more eye appealing to a building that's right in the center of town. You can't miss that building. So it added that look to it. And then putting the gutters on there, that was actually part of the project because I wanted the water to run off of the walls instead of running onto the sides of the walls and keep cracking up all the walls. And also I had a project where I had put some sidewalks around the entire area because years back, Mayor Batten was actually part of one of our flag raising events, and he was out there walking through all of a lot of people were, but there was no sidewalks to walking through all the yard and all the grass and the rock and dirt. And we added the sidewalks in, and that took care of that so people could actually walk around the entire building on sidewalks versus just in the dirt. So that was good. But whenever we did that, the water was running off the spillways of the rooftop onto the sidewalk then. So putting the gutters alleviated that water drainage onto the sidewalk. So that was just another step to making all of that corrected. So that was a good deal for there. And I'd like to thank you all for actually allowing me the funds to actually do that exterior work because it just looks amazing out there. You can see the flag out there, and the building looks good. So
It does look good.
yeah, we added a lot to that area. And thank you for that, Councilor Letterman. So our tactical plan now is to, for a lot of the inner ceiling tiles, they're pretty bad because of the drainage from when the roof would leak. So we were replacing tiles here and there just to take care of the look and replace, because they were real moldy and stuff. And whenever the roof care actually did part of the roof, a lot of debris fell from the top of the roof into the attic of the ceiling. So they came across and they took a lot of the tiles out of that area, out of the dining room in the kitchen, took the tiles out, and instead of them putting them back after cleaning it out, the community center just purchased some new ceiling tiles and they put them into that area. Well, it happened to be that I applied for a capital outlay grant to get the ceiling tiles replaced on the inside of the whole community center. And that grant, from what I understood, was funded with GO bonds in the second session of 2020. So we're going to be able to replace the ceiling tiles throughout the rest of the building and possibly do some upgrades on our lighting in there. So that'll make the center even look better on the inside. So hopefully that grant will come through and we could take care of that part of it. I also was going to try to come back to the village to ask for, in this budget session, to ask for funds to renovate some tile in the bottom bathroom area. Those tiles are in pretty bad shape, and it's an entire different area of the building that we didn't tile. So I was going to try to come back with the village to actually ask for funding to renovate that tile in that bathroom because it doesn't look good and a lot of it is peeling up. And hopefully we can see some repair in that, and that'll, as far as tile throughout the whole center, that's the last we're going to need as far as tile for a long time. So, and it should be about approximately $8,500 to renovate that tile in the bathroom areas. So it's not too much, but something I'll be seeking after. That's one of my 2001 tactical plan goals. So yeah, so that's what I have as far as goal number 2. If anybody has any questions.
Nope, keep going.
Okay, we're rolling. Okay, goal number 3 here is new and continued programming for the center. It's like I stated before when I started this, we were trying to get more programming as far as filling in the gaps of the center, because there was, a few hours here and there that we could actually fit some programming to, and we wanted to introduce more programming, more appealing to the public. And so we continue to reach out to everybody to see what was best and what people could offer as far as having fitness classes or different types of classes in there. And whenever COVID hit, we completely got shut down. So this goal number 3 is going to be beneficial to us if we are able to open up again, because we're going to have to offer new programming, of course, because I don't know how if a lot of the programs are going to come back to the center, but we are definitely going to be reaching out to all of the people that ran a lot of these programs and try to get them to come back to produce these programs out of the center again, because they were utilized a lot by the public. A lot of it was our fitness classes, and that was something that I wanted to talk to everybody about was, there's a lot of fitness classes, gyms that are open up in the village, and like for instance the Ruidoso Athletic Club, they're open with classes. They can't be at full capacity, but they are open for fitness. Our center has a lot of fitness equipment in it that a lot of seniors utilized because they can't afford the gym, or they're not going to pay gym membership when they only go twice a week or so.
That's a good idea.
So they didn't find it that it was very beneficial to them to do that. So they wanted to, so they would use the center a lot for our fitness equipment and our classes. We had yoga classes, we had clogging classes, we also had just exercise classes. We had Senior Olympics doing enhanced fitness classes for seniors. There's a lot of those classes that our seniors keep calling us wanting to know when we're going to open again, because they're at home. They're not able to be mobilized and move around still to stay within good health. So that's one of the things that we need to really think about. I know the library was talking about opening up again at, maybe at some capacity, but those are some areas that I would really, really like council to consider, because our seniors do need those classes, as far as that. And we could open up at a certain capacity if needs be.
Yeah.
And Anthony, I believe it was at the town hall meeting that we talked about the tax assistance program, and that how we can gear up to open up that program again, because that's a valuable community service that the volunteers do, for one thing, and we always appreciate them over the years. Is that still a possibility for this coming tax season?
Mayor Pro Tem Salas, yes, it is a possibility. Our AARP tax coordinator, Mike Schaefer, he has been in contact with me wanting to open up the program again, because there's a lot of people who keep calling up into the center because they utilize that service because they don't have the funds to go to H&R Block or other places like that. So we get usually average about 1,000 people every year that utilize that service.
It's a bunch.
And just this past year, they had to open up on a appointment-based only services, which they want to do now. And that service this last year brought in 617 tax returns, which it saved low-income individuals $125,000 worth of tax prep, and it brought in $670,000 worth of funds to our area. So it is a good service, and that was done by appointment only. He would intake the people would bring the paperwork to somebody outside. They would make sure it's all filled out. The person that was outside, the volunteer, would take it inside of the tax preparer. They would prepare it and then hand it back out while the person waited in their car. So it was a non-contact type of deal, and that's the way they want to bring it back again.
But that'll be great, and yeah, I fully endorse that. So, and if they're wanting to go more days, because I remember, well, they were there every day of the week except Friday, I thought.
Well, actually, they were here Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. But
Okay.
Mike Schaefer, now that we're closed, he would probably utilize more days to get them done faster. And since the center's closed at most areas, he wanted to use the bridge room area. And if that area is not going to be occupied, he could still use that area.
Well, that would be great. I would fully endorse that for full usage every day of the week.
Okay,
Thank you.
that would be great. Yeah, so yeah, and then along with the library, I would just like to consider maybe possibly opening up partially to the fitness side of it, so that our seniors can, still be in good health, because I know a lot of them need that.
Right.
It's okay. So That's my goal number 3, if anybody has any questions.
No,
Okay, we're good. Okay, so my goal number 4 here is the transportation. We partnered with Z-Trans, a few years ago to bring the transportation into the area, and they have been great with their services. They have their fixed route where they have their stops, and then they have the paratransit where they pick up seniors from their house, take them to the store, and take them back home. This goal was for us to help. We were meeting on a every couple month basis with all the board members and with Mayor Crawford and a few others of the council to go over ideas and whatnot about the area, and so that way the public could so we could improve it for the public. And that was an ongoing deal for the center because we have the transportation system in the center. So I thought that was pretty important to my side of the area. I did notice I went on the Z-Trans route with one of the ladies like 2 weeks ago and was speaking to her about it, and she had talked about how there's a lot of stops that are not utilized all over town, and there's a lot of stops that could be added, which was some of the ideas that we were coming up with when we were actually able to meet before COVID hit. When COVID hit, the meeting stopped, so it kind of stopped that progress. But me being able to see the different stops and what was actually utilized, I mean, there was a lot of times she was just circling the area with nobody at these stops. And I think the Z-Trans staff actually has a lot of ideas on where those stops could be moved to and redone, because there's a lot of areas that are not being handled at this time. So that's something that once we're able to meet again under normal circumstances, and I will get with the Z-Trans board to try to see what we can do about meeting again, whether it's by Zoom or however we need to do it. But it does need to continue starting this year again, because the transportation system, I know they shut down a couple of times, but people were calling into the center and into the village of Ruidoso needing transportation, because there's a lot of seniors in our area that need transportation. And whenever they shut down, some of our seniors were not being taken care of. So they were reaching out to us and to the village of Ruidoso, and us collaborating. We got rides for these seniors and stuff. So they were taken care of, but you could just see when it shut down how much this is utilized. So it is something that we need to keep track of ongoing and come up with new ideas with the public. So that was my goal number 4, if anybody had any questions.
no questions.
Okay. My goal number 5 was about a central volunteer hub that was brought up during one of the plans. We have the retired and senior volunteer program that runs out of the community center. We've had it since 1991, and it's been funded mainly through the New Mexico and Aging and Long-Term Services Department. And I know there was a lot of other volunteer stations within the county that we actually got in touch with, and we put together a whole list of these places, so that way when people knew that they could contact us about volunteer opportunities, we would have, if none of our areas fit into what they were really seeking, we had these other alternatives that they could look into. So we have those lists put together. So that was one of the goals that we did meet. However, now that the COVID hit, our 6 of our 15 volunteer stations are still open. A lot of them are shut down, like the Hubbard Museum, the public library, as you know. There's a few of them that are shut down because they just didn't want to stay open to the vulnerable population, and also because of the governor's state guidance. So we were anticipating those other stations to be opened again. They're still waiting it out to see when they can, because there's a lot of services that they do provide that they plan on doing over again. So they're still in line to open up. There was actually 25 other volunteer stations in Lincoln County that we got in touch with to get their contact numbers so we can distribute that information. We distribute, our information through rack cards that we had purchased from at the community center to distribute all over town, and different rack cards around the businesses, and that seemed to help us get a lot more volunteers. Even though the program has shut down the way it has and the COVID has hit, we had still within this past 6 months, 25 more volunteers have signed up with us since then. There's been a few that have left as well, but there's still been, I think that's the way it went. There was a lot of them that did sign up still, and there was a few that did leave because a lot of them didn't come back to their second homes because of the travel and all of that. And then there was some that, just got older in age and didn't want to volunteer anymore. So they're still active. Our volunteers are still active. They're still wanting to be part of the program. They're just waiting until volunteer stations open up. So, and I also wanted to let you all know that with the retired and senior volunteer program, and this is going to tie into my next goal, we did receive a lot more funding. We received $75,000 more funding from the retired and senior volunteer program from the Corporation for National and Community Services, which is the Fed side of it. We applied for the grant, and just recently I was told that I was awarded. I got the notification through email that I was awarded $75,000 more for the program to run it. And this is where we're going to be able to have our coordinator do a lot more with the program, a lot more recognition. We plan on actually doing gas mileage reimbursement that we've spoken to back and forth with our finance department. We're going to have to see how we can finalize that, but we want to give gas mileage reimbursement to the volunteers, which is something that we've never had in this program. So that's going to be huge to these guys, because a lot of our seniors drive a long ways to get to their volunteer stations. We're so rural that, they're driving miles. So it's been a blessing that they have actually stuck with it, but this is going to be great for them. So with this extra funding, there's going to be more opportunities for our volunteers, and also for our volunteer coordinator that we are in the progress of hiring at this point. With the village HR department is working with somebody to get them hired on. So once the funding comes available July 1st for this new programming, we'll be able to utilize that for different types of services with that program. So that's where we're at with this program here. So if anybody has any questions with that goal.
Congratulations for the grant.
Yes.
Yes, it was huge. I didn't expect it, but when they opened it, our area had never been our area was never allowed to get federal funding because it didn't show in our area. When they revamped the whole thing and put regions instead of state offices, they looked at it all and said there's a lot of areas that don't have funding, and ours was one of them. So we seeked it out and we did receive it. So yeah, that's going to be great. Okay, so I'm on to goal number 6. This had to do a lot with our nutrition programs. We had lunches and breakfast provided weekly, and I was trying to seek out more donations and stuff to actually provide more at the meals themselves, or actually provide more meals themselves. We do not get the funds from the AAA services that they provide with Meals on Wheels and the congregate meal sites. We were not able to receive those funds because the Ruidoso Downs meal site was so close to us. They wouldn't fund two centers in the same area. So we had been providing Friday breakfast and a Wednesday lunch. So we had gone to grocery stores and they had been donating us food items and stuff to actually help out with the meals that we were serving. And my ideas were to actually be able to serve more meals there and have more as part of the meal with our program. And so that was one of our goals. I actually added another goal to that area this time, to actually hire another employee to actually assist us with a lot of things in the center, helping out with, and this goes to the other deal that I was talking about, helping out with setting up programs, fitness programs, helping out in the center, answering phones, helping out to prepare these meals, cook them, clean up afterwards, and do a lot of the help with the custodian side of it. The thing about it is whenever we received the funding for the RSVP program, we have a coordinator that we're trying to hire on right now as we speak, and 20% of my time being the director of the RSVP program, 20% of my time was shown on the grant as that. So what 20% of my salary is going to be alleviated by the RSVP grant, showing that part of my work still goes into that grant because I do the grant writing, the budget side of it and stuff like that. So 20% of my time is going to be freed up through this grant once it hits in July. And also the village was paying which by the way, that equals about $12,000 of my salary. And then the Village of Ruidoso, before we received this grant now in July, the Village of Ruidoso was actually putting in $15,000 on the RSVP coordinator side of it. That's going to free up about $27,000 for the village, which I don't want to lose in my department because I want to be able to utilize it to offer more programming and more meals. I will need that other person because the RSVP coordinator that's going to be doing this, I'm going to have them so busy doing more RSVP stuff, outreach, and helping out at the stations and monitoring the stations and doing a lot of that stuff. So me having partial RSVP coordinator, our community center coordinator help out with the meals and all of that, they're going to be doing their own responsibility as far as that program to get it going a lot better. And so that's I'm gonna lose a person in essence, having them just doing that side of it, but I'm gaining more programming funds. So I wanted to hire on, even if it was a part-timer or whatever I can get to help out in the center more with this money that is freed up from this grant. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that would help me to maybe provide more meals a week, or yeah, for sure, more meals a week. And then however I can utilize them to, if we need to open on a Saturday because there's more programs that are coming in, that would be a good idea too for this extra person. So there's a lot of ideas I have with this extra now that it's become available to us.
Sounds good, Anthony. Does anybody have any other? Go ahead, Dr. Jackson.
Oh, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, Anthony, this is on a personal note, but I wanted to thank you for opening your doors and your kitchen to the Episcopal Church to allow them to make meals while our own kitchen is under serious renovation, basically replacement. What it does, basically, it allows us to prepare between 200 and 250 meals that we just freely distribute at the end of the day on a second Monday. So again, I wanted to thank you and your staff for allowing that.
Councilor Jackson, we appreciate that, and that's what the center is there. It's for everybody, and we try to help everybody out as much as we can, and we love the program that you all are doing by doing all those meals, and it's good for the public. So yes, anytime you need it, just let us know.
Are we being good at cleaning up after ourselves?
Yes, sir, you sure are. Everything's been great. They cleaned up really well.
Well, Betty McGinnis thinks you walk on water.
I don't know about that, but yeah, we try for everybody is what we do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony, you're doing a great job, and thank you for your patience on us and great presentation of your strategic planning.
And thank you all. I appreciate all the help you all give to us as well.
Great job.
Thanks, Councilor Letterman.
Manager Dodge, and I was going to ask the other counselors, I know just following Anthony, we have the convention center, but I think that could be discussed during budget time because it's budgetary items. But I did want to cover over the radio station and as much of park and recreation that we got in 15 minutes.
One of the things that I did recommend earlier is we do have a workshop planned for Tuesday, and it's to go over the agenda items. But if we didn't complete anything today, then we would move to that meeting.
Okay, great.
If you'd be okay with that, I think Robin really wanted to have Bernadine present, if you don't mind. And then if we end up, we can get Rodney to move to Tuesday meeting.
Well, let me ask Bernadine, do you want to present? It's 4:30, and the only reason why I'm thinking early, let us sanitize. I didn't know there was a 5 o'clock meeting here. I see the whites there. At least we could sanitize our workstation and get ready for the next meeting. But
We just ended and move the rest of the agenda
to the Tuesday workshop.
Mr. Pro Tem, I just wanted Rodney to know we weren't serving him short shrift, that this just occurred. And we appreciate you hanging in there, and we always appreciate everything you do every day in every way.
You're welcome. I appreciate it, and it's not I'm here to help serve. I like being involved in it as well, to be aware of all the other departments, what, their goals as well, because it's been mentioned before, I think they're all related.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be informed. No offense taken.
Manager Dodge, Mayor Pro Tem, just a point. There was a 2:00 meeting on Tuesday. It's the workforce housing meeting scheduled for this room, so.
But we start at 8.
Okay, just one, just so you know.
Okay, I appreciate that, Jeff. Well, since,
Just add this to the agenda.
That's okay, I didn't want to do it anyway.
well, with all that said, I will officially adjourn this workshop meeting. Thank you all very much.
Good job on your journey.
Hey, John.